Officials in California are now looking at the possibility that downed power lines sparked the massive wildfires that continue to burn through the northern part of the state. The death toll currently stands at 31, but officials warn that number is likely to rise as they now go house to house looking for those who were unable to flee. CBS's Greg Mills is in Santa Rosa, California with the latest.
As flames in Northern California continue to spread out of control, authorities have begun the grim task of trying to find and identify those who couldn't escape their burning homes. Searchers in some areas are being helped by cadaver dogs. Authorities say some remains are so beyond recognition they will use serial numbers on medical implants like hip replacements to ID victims.
Some of them are merely ashes and bones, and we may never get truly confirmative identification on ashes. Cremated, you can't get ID.
Though firefighters have made some modest progress, fires have grown and now cover more than 300 square miles, an area as large as New York City. Officials say in addition to the dry, windy weather making the flames awfully hard to contain, the fire crews have been working nonstop and they're exhausted.
They've been up for a couple of days. They've been working their tails off. They're doing unbelievable work under some tough conditions.
An estimated 25,000 people have been forced to evacuate. Allie Mae put a sprinkler on her roof before heading out, hoping that'll help keep the flames at bay.
We've just wet down everything and all of our neighbors' stuff around us that we could reach with our hoses.
The forecast calls for more windy, dry air, which threatens to feed the fires even further. Greg Mills, CBS News, Santa Rosa, California.
And officials in Sonoma County are facing some criticism for not warning residents via a messaging system that would have sent a massive alert reaching cell phones in most of the region. Some people say they were caught off guard by advancing fires with very little warning. Officials say using the blanket alert system would have notified too many people who were not in danger, which in turn would have caused mass panic, clogging roads and slowing first responders. The official timeline of the Las Vegas massacre is being questioned again, this time by the owners of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. MTM Resorts International says shots were fired at the music festival lot at the same time as, or within 40 seconds after the time a security guard radioed for help. The latest police timeline asserts there was a 6-minute gap between the first shots and that radio call. President Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday to repeal part of Obamacare, and now the president plans to end key subsidies to insurers. Those payments help lower-income individuals afford health insurance. Critics say the move will increase premiums. Updating you on a story you first heard here, the fire that destroyed the old high school in Big Timber was human-caused. The state fire marshal released those findings Thursday afternoon, a little less than a week after the fire broke out. A press release by the Sweetgrass County Sheriff's Office states the fire's point of origin was found, but no accelerants or evidence of accelerants were found at the scene. In the days following the fire, a portion of the building was demolished so authorities could safely enter the building and conduct an investigation. The owner of the building could not be reached, so a search warrant was obtained to complete the investigation. Anyone with any information on the fire is encouraged to call the Sweetgrass County Sheriff's Office at 932-5143, or to remain anonymous, please call the Crime Tip Hotline at 932-3025. One man is dead and another is in the hospital this morning after two cars collide in West Billings. The crash happened at the intersection of King Avenue West and Fallow Lane Thursday afternoon. A car driven by an elderly man was heading south on Fallow, attempting to turn onto King when another vehicle heading west on King T-boned the driver's side of the elderly man's car. The elderly man was killed in the crash, and the man driving westbound on King was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. King Avenue was closed for several hours Thursday afternoon at South 32nd Street West. Police Sergeant Clyde Reed says the crash is still being investigated. At this time, Reed says speed and alcohol do not appear to be factors. On to campaign news. The race for Billings mayor has garnered the most attention in next month's city election, but local voters will also have to decide the fate of a public safety levy. The levy is different from others brought forward recently, as it will benefit the Yellowstone County Attorney's Office. It's been 17 years since the County Attorney's Office has asked voters for a mill levy. Since then, the population of Yellowstone County has grown by as much as 30,000 people. The County Attorney's Office faces a big increase in the number of child child abuse and neglect cases, as well as cases involving methamphetamine. County Attorney Scott Twido says since 2010, the number of child abuse and neglect cases have quadrupled. He says if the levy fails, authorities will have to face some very difficult decisions. Twido says the levy will not expand services, but these dollars will be used to maintain current services in a growing county. He says this ballot measure goes hand in hand with the one voters recently passed approving 2 more district judges. As for its impact on taxpayers, this public safety levy will cost the owner of a $100,000 home $10.80 a year. In other news, flags in Montana will fly at half-staff today in honor of the late Montana First Lady, Ann Stevens. The wife of former Governor Stan Stevens passed away Sunday from cancer at the age of 90. Governor Steve Bullock said he and his wife Lisa will join Montanans in honoring the life and legacy of the First Lady. Bullock said, quote, "Ann served the people of Montana with dignity and grace and will be remembered in the hearts of family, loved ones, and the entire state of Montana." From the UM campus, new university president-elect Seth Bodnar has officially arrived in Missoula. On Thursday, he and his wife met with the media. He says he's looking forward to beginning the transition process and becoming UM's next top administrator. Bodnar is one of the youngest people chosen to lead the Missoula campus. With his youth comes a wealth of energy and a fresh perspective. Bodnar says he's up to date with current concerns and issues regarding the school's budget and is eager to tackle those situations when he assumes office next year. He says he's excited to meet with students and faculty and to get to know what really makes the university tick.
The way you do that is spending time with them and really understanding in their environment what they do on a day-to-day basis, what their needs are, what their ideas are. And you only get that perspective by spending time with them. Students are the lifeblood of this university. They are the reason we're here, and they have both great ideas and terrific passion for this place.
And since his arrival lands on homecoming week, he says he's looking forward to joining the party. He plans to hike Mount Sentinel to light the M this evening. Elsewhere, Senator John Tester is still waiting for his colleagues to schedule a hearing on the proposed Blackfoot Clearwater Stewardship Act, more than a month after submitting a formal request to advance the legislation. The proposal would protect 79,000 acres lying in the headwaters of the Blackfoot River just outside the Bob Marshall Wilderness. The act would also establish multi-use trails, open over 2,000 acres for snowmobiling, protect nearly 4,000 acres for mountain biking, with allowances for selective timber operations. But despite broad support, no hearing has been set. That very river was featured in the 1976 novel A River Runs Through It, and it was 25 years ago this week that director Robert Redford brought the story to life with his debut on the big screen. For the grandson of the story's author, this year marks not only the anniversary of a personal tale of Western Montana life, but a reminder of the value of the Blackfoot Stewardship Act. MTN's Dennis Bragg reports.
A few weeks ago, before the summer fire smoke choked the Blackfoot Valley, the Montana Wilderness Association invited supporters of the Blackfoot Stewardship Act to see how protections on the headwaters are so critical for this legendary river. Setting off from Corrix River Bend, we floated past the canyon where Norman McLean, his brother Paul, and father shared that remarkable last fishing trip. It's a place where Montana seems more poetic, more thoughtful, and a state that encourages deep thinking. But McLean's grandson, along for the float, says for him it's a place where memories and the technique of Norman's four-count rhythm mingle with his own experience.
I think what my goal is when I'm out here is to get to a point where I'm clean of thoughts and just experiencing the moment. But there's never a time where my grandfather's spirit's not near my heart when I'm fishing, and he had all sorts of rules about how to do it, and many of them I obey, and not all of them, but he informs everything I do out here. Most of what I know about the foundations of my understanding of wild places and rivers and fishing knots and rods, he planted most of those seeds, and my parents, with him. So, yeah, it all connects together into one thing, and it's my history and his history and this place. It all becomes one thing.
The interesting thing about experiencing the Blackfoot or any of these other special places in western Montana is how that experience becomes your own. While you can build upon the legacy of someone like Norman McLean, it's all about finding your own way and your own depiction of these special places.
Snyder sees his 9-year-old son and his nephew discovering the Blackfoot for themselves.
They're having the same experience my brother and I had, and my grandfather and his brother had. And there is a continuity, there's a shared experience, there's a truth in it.
It's that unique ecosystem supporters say the act would enhance, preserving not only these lower reaches of holes and riffles, but the upper headwaters.
They're cold, clear mountain streams that are great fisheries habitat, and a lot of these fluvial west slope cutthroat and bull trout will migrate up through the river systems into those smaller tributaries to reproduce.
And it's not just fishing and floating. Snyder notes the act would protect the shoulder areas up against the western Bob Marshall.
This would protect those areas, the areas that actually get visited the most, and mean that, you know, those same places I went on a hike with my grandfather and my parents, they'll be there for my son and hopefully his children. And it's on us to save these places. If we don't, they won't be there, and nobody will be able to experience it again. And
on the river that runs through it, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.
Thank you very much, Dennis.